not a book on that.
Okay, several books have been made into films. Not just yours. Many books have been made into films. There was R.K. Narayan. Who was the president? Who's the writer? K.R. Narayan. R.K. I keep getting confused with the two.
If I did that, my God, what would have happened to me?
Mujhe
R.K. Narayan is the writer.
R.K. Narayan. K.R. Narayan is president. I always get confused with two. So, Guide was made on his novel, The Guide. Then there was your Pai Poche.
Yeah.
We'll come to all those. But typically, even there's a play called Closer by Patrick Marber, which was like a runaway hit on Broadway, which made into a Hollywood film.
I love that movie. Yeah.
Now, all films have to be dumbed down. I mean, from the novel.
Yeah.
Does it bother you if your book has to be dumbed down to fit Bollywood?
No, I mean you can call it dumbed down or you can call it made more accessible. And I think there is a way to make things more accessible without really making it dumber.
So they do make it more accessible.
What happens is
your book is made more accessible. Does that piss you off?
No, it's inevitable. It's inevitable because it doesn't piss me off so much because I'm lucky to have a huge readership. So it's not like I have to go and scream. No.
You're already dumbed down.
No, it's not dumbed down. It's that I can tell.
It is a joke. You don't mind.
I know, yeah.
Okay.
It's that I don't have to explain to people what I wanted to say. So if you've seen
I was really pissed off with Anand.
A lot of authors,
when they did What With Guide, he says, I refuse to acknowledge that's my novel.
Yeah, it was one of the classic movies. I mean, it's considered one of the best.
I think it's a great film, but I have rarely seen an author say that, they always say they dumbed it down, they screwed it up, they've made it.
See, authors have a bad, the stereotype of an author is ego, right? When you show two authors, they're always having ego clashes. When you show two actresses, they're having cat fights. That's the stereotype. So I don't have ego because luckily for me, my critics they've never allowed me to have an ego. I'm always straight away told, tum to yaha ho, tum to kuch bhi nahi ho. So that really makes me a really easygoing person.
You've been unshackled.
Yeah, there's nothing to lose. If you told me like that Tagore Shobha Day, I could have said, मैं Shobha Day के भी नीचे हूँ. बोलो अभी क्या करोगे? So you couldn't really take me on after that. So I understand filmmaking process. I understand how commercial films are made. I understand the money involved. I understand the 2-hour restriction of the screenplay, the language switch, the addition of stars, the addition of songs. So there is going to be changes. The only reassurance I have is I have millions of readers. So whatever thing I wanted to say, it will also be read by a lot of people. Some things have been lost.
But you had a serious disagreement with Aamir Khan on 3 Idiots.
I didn't have any disagreement with him, with the production house. It's just that Aamir Khan was in the movie.
Sure, but there was a disagreement on
the credits.
Yeah. So did they change the book so much that you didn't like what they did with it?
No. They just didn't credit me properly. It was just an era in Bollywood where people, in fact, that controversy helped make things better for writers.
Was it orchestrated? Was it choreographed?
No. It was just...
I heard that before Aamir Khan film, there's always a controversy. Before Mangal Pandey, so I was told even this could be choreographed. Was it?
No, it's very hard to choreograph. It's very hard to choreograph these things. And the film was such a super hit. Why would they do that? The issue is, it was in front. I mean, it was based on my book, but they didn't credit me properly. My credit, to be legally right, they credited me, but right at the end with the hairdresser.
I saw that.
So, I just didn't feel it was right. So I wrote a blog, not knowing there is something called viral these days. So those blogs went viral, and the other side, they could have been a little...
You were on primetime debates.
Yeah, then it just moved primetime because even they didn't know what's hit them, and they were used to squishing writers. Like, writers in Bollywood, they were like, swat him. So somebody asked them the question press con. He's written a blog that it's on his book, and he's like, who's he? We don't know him. That was enough for the journalists, and he said, shut up, I think one of them said.
And then in slow motion, Chetan Bhagat.
No, nothing.
8 million followers.
That bus, तब नहीं थे 8 million. Really
2 million तो होंगे.
कुछ नहीं थे, 20,000 थे.
अरे जाओ यार.
I swear, Twitter is a new phenomenon. That was 2009. There was nothing. But a lot of my media friends had read the book. They had read the book, they had come to my other launches, they knew.
And it was exactly the same.
It is similar. I have a contract that they're making the movie.
On your book.
So, I'm shocked they kind of fed the story and it exploded. And
so that was nothing to do with dumbing down a book or anything.
That was not a contract.
But otherwise you have never felt that your book...
I have never felt.
Hello...
that was just not... The movie didn't do well.
Yeah,
and it was
that
not
was made by Sohail Khan and...
Atul Agnihotri.
So they understood the book?
You know, I also take responsibility. I mean, I was also part of the process, and I guess we didn't do such a good job.
Okay, you know, I could be wrong. Maybe Sohail Khan is a genius, but he doesn't come across as someone who can really understand script. Did you?
Yeah, Atul Agnihotri. See, at that Atul Agnihotri, when he approached me, he told me there is a cameo I have in the book. One night at a call center, there's a cameo of the author. I'm very Subhash Ghai that way, right? I had it it was in the second book, and he said, this cameo I'll make Salman play it. So you can imagine, you're sitting in office, you're sitting in a bank, and your boss is screaming at you, you're making one more spreadsheet for the 10th year running. And then someone calls you from India and he says, you know, this cameo did, I'll make Salman and Katrina play it. What would you do? Do you care about anything? And you've never had any taste of Bollywood, right? Okay, make it. Fine. Ban to jayegi na. And then it came out, and it was not as good as I expected. And then I realized that I'm getting a lot of joote for it. Like, ye kya karna diya, ye kya ho gaya, abhi tak dekho sunna pad raha hai. So,
but that was Sohail Khan. I was just thinking Sohail Khan.
It's your successes stay with you, your failures stay with you. And then, but that Hello taught me a lot. It taught me how, okay, I got to understand the film business properly. I got to understand who I'm working with. The director is really important. It's not just कि सलमान ने कर दिया तो बन गई picture. It's not as simple as that.
But the fact that you got made, मैंने 4 script लिखी हैं जिंदगी में, आज तक एक भी नहीं बनी. अब देखो, you see,
so
you have to know how to get in there and get it made.
You gotta get things going sometimes. And I think I was that. Sometimes it's not about ये क्यों नहीं करा. It's about ये मिल रहा था ये कर दिया. So like that.
Now coming back to your book and feminism. I mean, we were talking about feminism in the beginning. I mean, I get feminism. It's not like I get what the whole concept. I just stay away from it because I don't know how sexist I am. I will never be able to realize it. But so if you were to step back on the realization and, you know, like we did with Tagore and Bertrand Russell to Shobha Day.
And then Abhinandan to...
And that, so on sexism, you know, let's say you have Trump and Mulayam Singh and gang on one end. On the other end,
Trump and Mulayam Singh.
You know, that
just seems like such a great.
They're very similar, I think, in their gender. This thing. In fact, a few days, day before yesterday, there was a photograph in the paper of the Yadav Bahu sitting, and she's doing some work with the Agba. पता नहीं कोई यज्ञ वज्ञ show हो रहा था, and all the Mulayam, Shivpal, you know, the noses. Are all sitting there, and she's sitting doing calm. This is India. Anyway. So you have Mulayam and the Yadavs and Trump on one end. Who's a feminist, like icon, a male feminist icon? You think? I mean, other than Amitabh Bachchan's character in Pink.
Farhan Akhtar, chalo.
Okay, I don't know him, but if
he has that organization, no, Mard and all that. He talks.
So okay,
he's actually overtly talking about women.
So let's go. So if this Farhan, where do you place yourself?
I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely not as much as Farhan, but I'm closer to Farhan than Mulayam.
So
100%.
This side.
A lot more.
This is 0. This is 1.
So and let me tell you.
Section, this is 1. This is 10. Where are you? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Maybe 2, 3. I don't know.
You're very kind to yourself on the feminist
Well,
issue.
I think, and let me explain to you now, and let me explain to you what I have learned through this book. Firstly, feminism is a very broad topic. Okay, from female feticide to sending girls to school, to crimes against women, to consent, to this book which is more about career and work-life balance and allowing women to do well and not judging them for it or whatever. It's a very wide issue. It's not like one thing, right? So this book only captures one aspect of it. Then there is a degree of how extreme a feminist you are, just as you can be in religious. Let's say there's religion, you can be a moderate follower or you can be an orthodox follower, and you can be an extremely orthodox follower, whereas you believe in, you know, cutting your own tongue up and all that. That's also a Hindu, or a Hindu which goes to pray only at Diwali time is also Hindu. So it's a very big range there. Now who's the real Hindu? Feminism is also like that. And what happened, like I told you, when I was researching the book, a lot of girls told me, "Arey, but I'm not feminist and all, huh? मैं नहीं हूँ उस type की," which is shocking, because feminism is for women. It is to get you more rights. How could you not be feminist, right? It's like,
or even a man. Anyway,
no, but even a man,
a woman itself,
woman is more shocking. Man also should be, but women definitely should be, right? Sure. It's like saying there is a movement to give better rights to Indians, and you're like, I'm Indian, but I don't want that. Sure. It's very bizarre. And I figured why that's happening. Because the feminist agenda has been hijacked by the extreme feminists, ultra feminist, Kattarwad, the feminazis, which are derogatorily called sometimes. And their idea is a woman has to be strong. A woman, it's feminism for strength of women, and therefore a woman has to be always strong. And that's where the garbad happens. They have criticized the character Radhika in this book, which incidentally has come from research. Which incidentally, if you go on my Facebook page, and literally there are thousands of comments now on how girls have related to this character. They have said Radhika is not feminist enough. Why? Because when her boyfriend breaks up with her, he breaks up with her on WhatsApp after living with her for 2 years, she's devastated. She begs him to come back. She's crying. She's ready to do anything for him. Or, you know, when she feels like kissing a guy, she thinks, oh God, will he think I'm too easy? That's a natural conditioning of Indian women. They are brought up to believe.
So the criticism is that is
not feminist.
Okay.
Now, what they are saying therefore is feminism means dehumanizing yourself, not feeling emotions. Not if a girl says I want to have my career, I want to have a good home, but I also want a man to woo me or to take care of me or, you know, impress me, or why hasn't he called? I'll check my phone 5 times. That's perfectly fine. That's normal. That's called being a girl. And you can be
a person.
Being a person. Too, right? And that is what the average Indian girl relates to. If you tell them that, they will say they are feminists. But
what
right now,
specific? I mean,
no, but this particular movement, because it's a little complex, because it's got so many issues, because so many degrees, a certain self-styled feminists have taken over, and they said, unless you 100% agree with us, we will not qualify you as feminist.
I find, Chetan.
So that is an issue here. And what is real feminism? I'll just finish. Is it what all Indian girls on an average decide democratically that this is our feminist agenda? Or is it these few girls who probably have read good New York Times op-eds on feminism and say, अब तो ये है feminism. आप मुझे बताओ कि क्या होना चाहिए feminism? Because that's an issue. And this book is actually
आपके हिसाब से क्या होना चाहिए?
It has to come democratically. It has to be context based. एक गांव में feminism is हमारी बेटियों को स्कूल जाने दो. In New York it is हमारी लड़कियों को CEO बनने दो.
So the degrees vary. Okay, so here's my thing. One is, I think it's just because the majority thinks certain way doesn't mean that should be the agenda. In my view,
that's a
I mean, if that was the case, you know, slavery would never go. If that were the case,
but
the
I'm talking of women.
No,
women talk. Yeah. If majority of slaves felt, to hai na issue. So don't give the wrong analogy, sir.
Okay,
I can argue back on logic, even
though
intellectually I may be lower on the.
What makes you think I'm an intellectual?
Look, आपकी curly hair and दाढ़ी हो गया.
Look पे मत जाओ. What's that?
सब look पे है.
Look पे मत जाओ.
सब लोग ये जूती वूती सब.
ये पाकिस्तान की है. Anti-national.
मैंने कुछ नहीं कहा सर.
अच्छा. So no, but anyway, what I'm saying is that don't you find whether it is on the feminist issue or on the haters, you are taking the extreme and pitting yourself against that. Why always debate with the extreme? Like, not everybody who abuses on Twitter, like I saw that whole thing about haters are going to hate you, put out that tweet that girls with an IQ of over how much? Like Chetan Bhagat, the rest go get your six-pack. Were you being sarcastic, or you only look for chicks with like, is chicks okay to say, or is that sexist?
I mean, Twitter has become so bad. That tweet, what you're talking about, can you just repeat that tweet? What date is it?
The tweet is February 27, 2010 ki hai ye.
But this is what they do. I'll keep it here now.
How did it reach?
Yeah, I'll tell you now.
Okay, the tweet is from, I'll just tell the audience, is from February 27, 2010. I now pronounce as thinking Indian woman's lust object, those with IQ of less than 80, plenty of six-packs floating around, go stay. Okay. I thought it was a new tweet.
No, it's not a new.
But it's suddenly come up now.
It's because whenever my book, if you run out of reasons to attack me and you really feel it's cool to attack me, you'll find. So this is a 6.5-year-old tweet which has been pulled out without context. Context is very simple. Vidya Balan at that time had made a statement, I'm the thinking man's something.
So you were cracking a joke.
I was cracking a joke on that at 6.5 years. Now you brought it back. You've overlaid it with my...
Because I thought you were being serious. I was like, dude, what are you doing?
No, I'm not being serious. Yeah. You mean if someone says I'm a thinking woman's lust object, you really think I'm being serious? I mean, it must be, I must have enormous credibility that I utter 5 words and they're taken seriously. So it's, but in this case, like I told you, this happens to me a lot. They take out 6.5-year old things and then.
Okay, now that's clarified. The point I'm making is not everyone on Twitter is a hater. If someone's rude,
No,
I'm just saying
they're
that.
not.
Like for example, it's like people are just rude. They may not hate you. For example, you know, if you're walking and someone bumps into you, someone will say, "Bhai sab, dekh ke chaliye, kisi ko chot lag jayegi." Someone will say, "Anda kya chuti hai?" Now, the guy doesn't hate him, but he's just rude.
Correct.
So
that's a better
I mean,
word.
I'm
Ruders.
just.
I don't know what will the word. Rude people. Yeah, they're like rude.
So I'm just saying that you think sometimes you are arguing whether it is the feminazis. There is a set who may be extremely hostile to any contrary view of feminism, and that's I'm sure it exists. But not everybody is a hater. Why must one argue against the weirdest of the lot?
No.
There is a big chunk which is.
And to be fair, whatever.
And that same thing applies in those who discuss intellectual capacity of literature generally.
But you have discussed, you've not agreed with me on every point today.
No.
And we have discussed, and there is no issue there.
No.
So I think firstly, rudeness is a big no-no for me. Maybe you are right. And
I'm accused of being very rude by people, just letting you know.
This is fine. Holding your ground, firmly disagreeing is all okay. But you know what the kind of rudeness that happens on Twitter. It's not even in the same league.
That's abuse.
Abuse, just disrespect and just kind of all kinds of insinuations without really knowing the person. I mean, that kind of thing. And Twitter has become a very negative place. But I have taken feedback. The fact that this book has been written is based on feedback that you could be getting repetitive. Always एक small town का लड़का है, वो hero है, उसको love चाहिए, वो लड़की के पीछे गया. All that repetitiveness was happening. So the idea was to do something.
It's a
now
girl,
it's a girl, she's in Goldman Sachs. It's about feminism, an issue which is difficult issue to handle. It's a new challenge for me. So the idea was to challenge myself, to not be in the safe zone.
Okay. So but Twitter gets you into a lot of trouble, it seems.
Twitter is getting a lot of, in general, I'm telling you, I yesterday also saw Twitter's stock is down 60% last 2 years. Facebook is up like tripled. No, it is true. If you put 100, today Facebook is valued 33 times that of Twitter. Facebook is 370 billion company. It's a 10 billion company. Even though, of course, it depends a lot on the advertising and but it just tells you
that's because of the.
It's because
Pritish
the hate.
Nandi just wrote a piece on why Twitter's dying.
See, the celebrities. The idea of Twitter was you can access a lot of interesting people which you couldn't otherwise, right? Because it's open platform. They've shut up. They've just shut up because, people, I could write Mother Teresa is a great woman. I will get rude replies to that.
Now,
that is going to kill Twitter one day.
Coming to that, has that affected, your take on things? While, there are two ways of interpreting that when Chetan Bhagat writes a book, it sells millions of copies because Chetan Bhagat ko navs pata hai. Like, I think Yash Chopra knew how to create a magical romantic moment. He knew it. He knew the nubs of what people like, what will make them
India
cry.
Is, yeah.
Like in Veer Zara, he had that one scene which, was classic Yash Chopra even. Now, so some people have that nubs. Does Chetan Bhagat have the nubs or does he follow the lead? And why I'm asking you this is, and because during the Jan Lokpal movement, you used to write a lot of pieces in Times of India and all, which were very complimentary to them and they were very supportive and stuff. And that was the rage of the time. When Modi became the rage of the time, suddenly Chetan Bhagat writes a lot of very complimentary things about Modi and is...
Yeah.
Is that the tail wagging the dog or the dog wagging the tail? I mean,
it's a good question. See, I've been writing about corruption.
It's a good marketing strategy.
No, since 2010 is when Commonwealth Games happened. The first huge attack on that came from my column. Sorry, I'm taking a little credit for that. Well before ISC was even formed. When I said boycott the Commonwealth Games. It was a very bold piece for someone like me to write at that time because it was a sitting government. And Times of India had a lot of deliberations. They called me. They said, are you sure you want to carry this? Because it was also could be seen as anti-national. And I did say that we should boycott these games. That's the only way to show. And that was one of the early pieces which attacked Kalmadi, that brought out that scam. It was well before ISC started. So it's very easy to say that you were with ISC, tum iske chamche the. I noticed Modi's rise around 2011 where Modi was nowhere close to being the PM candidate. I just saw the kind of following this man was getting. I'm an observer and I write about that. ISC did amazing
But you always seem to align yourself with the popular sentiment
not at
of
all.
the day. It's not a conscious
Not
thing.
at all, at all. ISC was doing good work. AAP was a different AAP. I mean, sorry, if somebody changes, it's not right. You can't say that then you were praising us, now you are not. But you are not the same entity.
No, I'm not saying not. I'm just saying whatever seems on the crest, you are on the surfboard on top of that crest.
How did that happen? It's because I'm able to,
Read the wave.
Yeah, but it's nothing to do with. But you're talking two separate things. One is knowing. One is me, the analyst, predicting what will happen, and I think that's where the confusion comes. Second is my opinion on what I think is right or wrong. So I might say Trump is.
Will you align yourself with your analysis?
Yeah. For example, in the US election, a good one because we are kind of step removed from it. I could say Trump has a strong following. It doesn't mean I'm supporting Trump.
Sure.
But
then
when
you could follow up that with an article saying what a great guy he is.
But that's different then. Then that's an opinion piece, which I have not done for any. But if I predicted Modi's rise, that doesn't mean, that was merely an observation.
You were very critical of the award Wapsi thing. I personally may not have got an award or to return or something. But I think to mock people because they feel a certain way, it is a way of protest, it's a legit way of protest. And especially since you have been at the receiving end of being mocked for a variety of reasons, I personally felt it was a very convenient, bhed chal to ride at that time. Because I may agree or disagree, I don't have a view on that. But if a person feels that it's a government award, anything that is a way of giving it is a completely legit and accordingly rational way of protesting. What is to mock in that?
But firstly, I was not doing bhed chal. I was the first guy to mock them. To be fair, then everybody figured कि हाँ यार इनकी भी बजाई जा सकती है, because at that time it was like, oh my god, they're returning awards, I just said this sounds very hypocritical because similar things have happened and they haven't. It was clearly, yes, you are right, it is, you have your award, you can do whatever, but can you actually return an honor? You're actually like taking extra footage खा रहे हो आप. I feel like you've got an honor.
If the government has given you something, your protest is against the government of the time, and the government of India
you took it then. You took an honor.
But today, a government of India, if you don't agree with it, you return it to the government. I mean, what is so difficult to understand?
You can't return honor. You can return a trophy, but it's
symbolic now. It's not. Yeah, na bankers ko na
I don't think
quantifiable चीज दिखती है.
No, in fact, you are talking about banker here. I am saying it's not about the certificate or the trophy or the award. It's the honor. You've accepted the honor. You've put it on your resume for 10 years. I got this award. And then now you're saying I'm returning it.
Yeah, because you don't agree with what's happening.
But the last 10 years you benefited
yes,
from
but
that
at that time you didn't find anything so objectionable from your point of view. But
that's not the condition. That's not what you said. You didn't say that when you took the award, it's subject to a guarantee that you will perform according to...
Come on.
No, but that's how... You went and took it, be man enough to say I took it.
And then you mocked them that they haven't sold as many copies. So the only way to sell it is if you're selling them.
I didn't mock them. There was this very wonderful lady, Nilanjana Roy, who said, have you even read the Sahitya Academy award winners? Do you want me to send you a few copies? And I said, have they read mine? And I don't have to send the copies. They can get it anywhere.
Okay.
So I think that was just a comeback. Okay. That's fair यार. इतना तो तुम Twitter पे थोड़ा नोक झोंक तो अलाउ करो. इतना तो बनता है.
नहीं कर रहा. मैं बोल रहा हूँ भाई मेरी उससे सहमति नहीं है.
मुझे लगा था कि मुझे थोड़ी नौटंकी लगी थी. मुझे थोड़ा ना लगा जब 200 लोग अवार्ड लौटा रहे ना, तो एक डिग्री होती है अभिनंदन, ठीक है.
तो सब 200 गधे तो नहीं है ना.
नहीं गधे नहीं
होगा ना माहौल में
ये था कि उनको मोदी पसंद नहीं है. ये था
प्राइम टाइम पर लोग बैठ के बोल रहे कि अखलाक मर गया, उसने बीफ क्यों खाया, कमाल है पार्टी का. आप
नहीं
ये पार्टी की वॉइस है ना. ये
बहुत गलत हैंडल किया बीजेपी ने, बहुत ही गलत हैंडल किया.
मैं बोल रहा हूँ
और मोदी की गलती है. और आप जो मेरे को कहते रहते हैं बीजेपी की मोदी की गलती है, उसको सजा मिलनी चाहिए. बस खुश हो गए. मेरे से ये निकलवा रहा था, बोल दिया. अच्छा फिर लेकिन 200 अवार्ड इंडिया में ऐसी चीजें हुई नहीं है क्या? तो 200 अवार्ड. और अभी क्या क्या हुआ उस टाइम तो कोई अवार्ड नहीं देता वापस. तो ये मुझे थोड़ा what you are saying is symbolism. For me it's tokenism. So it's a very we can never really.
I'd like to finish on feminism because the book is called One Indian Girl by Chetan Bhagat. Okay, I'm reading it. I these days read very few books. I think the last book I read was in my 20s or something.
You're not in your 20s now?
Very funny, Chetan.
I'm just asking.
But by the way, you must pay to keep news free. We are completely ad-free model.
But this is an ad.
Yeah, but this is an ad to support us. Okay. This is not Jio ka ad or something. So click on subscribe and pay to keep news free. My last thing with you is on this whole feminism thing. Do you think in pop culture, now that you're part of Bollywood, like, when I say ki bhai sexism is so ingrained in me, if you ask me what's my favorite song, it'll probably be, 18 बरस की तू होने को आई or
Is that your favorite song?
That's one of my favorite songs. Or that other Rekha Amitabh. Most of my favorite songs are Amitabh Rekha, and Rekha's dancing on a kotha and Amitabh is sitting with his white flesh drinking daru. The point is that growing up, all my favorite song is Salam Mein Ishq Meri. It is ridiculous to assume that we have spent 42 years growing up in this country. Every pop culture reference in our heads.
But it's okay. It may not be sexist to have that song if the woman.
No, but all the images in an Indian's head. I'm not saying it's sexist to have that song. All are touchstones, are pop culture touchstones. Correct. The power dynamic is very मुंगड़ा मैं गुड़ की गली मंगता है लवली सॉन्ग.
तो बड़े पुराने गाने देखता है, आजकल नहीं होते ऐसे.
बट मैं तो आजकल तो देखता ही नहीं ना. आजकल न्यूज़ लॉन्ड्री
तुम हो थोड़े उस जमाने
बुढ़े खाओ. लेकिन आप बताओ कि हाउ कैन अ मैन ऑफ योर और माय जनरेशन even claim to understand when we have been thusoed with mild and profound sexism throughout.
I don't think it's sexism if you, as long as you're aware, if it's a little bit of sexuality thrown at you for entertainment. That's what it is, na? एक item song.
The power dynamic is always.
But I know it's a movie, Baba.
Yeah, but
it's a movie. It's a fantasy कि मैं बैठा हूँ हैरम में और मेरे आसपास मुजरा हो रहा है. As long as you know, people are not stupid. It doesn't mean you'll go home and say, "आज से तू भी ऐसे है." It's not. People know it, yeah. It's
I'm
like
saying pop culture references.
No, I know they do make a difference. But then to say कि Bollywood should not have these songs, that's also curtailing artistic freedom.
I'm saying it should, but what I'm saying is that is all that exists. That's all I'm saying. For last time, that was the predominant power.
आगे ना पिंक कर रहे हैं अमिताभ बच्चन.
That's true. He's compensating. अपने पुराने.
नहीं, it's fine. It's not a. It's.
पापो.
I think you cannot.
कर रहे.
I think we overload Bollywood. Sometimes with like कि तुम्हें समाज को सिखाना चाहिए. उनको टिकटें बेचनी है.
Correct.
उनको टिकटें बेचने दो प्लीज.
और आपको बुक बेचनी है.
मेरे को बुक मेरी बिक जाती है. मेरे को इतनी टेंशन नहीं है सर. आप
कहते हैं कॉन्फिडेंस से बुक बिक जाएगी. तुम अपना काम करो.
नहीं, अच्छी बुक लिखेंगे तो जरूर बिकेगी. And News Laundry, I must say, I do listen to your podcast. I was telling Abhinandan, while writing One Indian Girl, I didn't watch much TV deliberately. So I would listen to your podcast after a day of writing, go for a walk in Hong Kong actually. And I've told many people about it. आप लोगों को बेचना नहीं आता. Sorry, आपने मेरे बारे में बड़े कमेंट मारे हैं, तो मेरे भी एक सुन लो. आपको बेचना नहीं आता. जिस दिन सीखना हो तो मेरे पास आ जाओ. You can sell and still not be a sellout. Remember that.
Okay, we'll try to sell but not be a sellout. For now, I'm plugging Chetan Bhagat's book, One Indian Girl, which I'm reading after a long time reading a book. Thanks Chetan for your time, appreciate it. Sorry I hijacked him for so long.
No, यार कान सा रोज मिलने मिलता.
If you like that, click here to support us and down here to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and do check out the other stuff we do like News Laundry interviews, Why So Serious, animations, comics, panel discussions, podcasts which are really big, and much more.